here from CLG that they're missing somebody. Loco Doco now no longer with the team. He left shortly after IPL 5 concluded.
I thought you were going to say they were missing Aframu.
And was that?
I thought you were going to say they were missing Aframu.
No, yeah, well, no. But CLG instead picking up Win temporarily, I assume.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's definitely in contention. I think he's probably going to become their support for at least a short time.
Yeah.
I don't know, whether or not he's fully committed to becoming a pro player again. I mean, he's when he's doing this, like with CLG, he's going to commit to it. Like,
right.
Nyut is not the kind of guy that's just going to half-ass it.
Yeah.
That's just not in him. I'm just saying, I think that, I don't know, maybe he's considering something with Riot. I mean, he's been doing the camera control for Riot for some time now, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But, Double Lift, he had said, he might not be mechanically the best support, but he's the best from, communication side, strategy, just familiarity and friendliness, being able to play with them. And that's really important. And when you look at most bot lane combos in the game, you don't need the best AD carry in the world and the best support in the world. I mean, it helps, but Double Lift is strong enough that he can control the lane 1v2 himself, and it doesn't really matter almost who's supporting with him, as long as that person doesn't get themselves caught and can play a strong role and then help the team later on in team fights, really. So I think that Nyut is definitely a very good fit with them right now.
Yep. And so if you were uninformed, and we're starting at the World Champs, Season 2 World Champs, Win was actually you come in and observe some of these big events along with some other rioters.
Yeah, it was Garen Curry, so Riot like Hayes, and also Nyut.
Yeah,
they were both doing camera control.
But it's strange because when you see...
So big props to them.
Big props to them. But when you see players move out of the player role into some sort of like a production or administrative role, it's a little bit more difficult for them to move on back. And we've seen this before earlier on in the year with Dan Din. He actually came in here, after Dyrus was picked up by TSM. He says, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to do some casting. And then there was the little stint, the 2-3 week stint with Fortnite, and things already they didn't quite seem to shape up. So it's kind of like you're like dropping out of college and then coming back in again. It's like, do you still have the same gumption?
Right. Well, I think he still has it if he wants to commit to it, but we'll see where they go. Evelyn being picked up. So there's a couple of strong champions open. I was wondering whether or not they might hold off and maybe go with TF. But Evelyn has been insanely strong. It's a couple of the OP champions being banned out. But Evelyn, we've seen once she gets going, she's easy to farm up, but then she can just win every single late game fight. Her AoE and sustained damage is just absolutely insane. And then the ability to come around the backside and insta-kill your AD carry is just brutal. Like, that's terrifying. AD carries, they just don't live in this patch right now. Like, it's so difficult to survive as an AD carry in this patch with the number of, really strong assassins that are viable and with some of the damage items that are there. Black Cleaver is an insanely strong item, but there's other items other than Black Cleaver, even when that's nerfed. So you have champions like Kha'Zix, coming into play more, that you just dive onto the backline, you insta-kill the AD carry, and it's like, sitting as the AD carry, you're like, well, what do I do? And that really ups the viability, not just viability, but strength of champions like Ezreal right now. Ezreal is probably, once again, the king of the AD carries, not as far as damage output. He's not the strongest in lane. He's lost that laning ability. He's still strong in lane. He doesn't lose to lane usually, but he used to beat everyone in lane. But now in teamfights, he is by far the safest AD carry in the game. And when you consider that there's all these really nasty assassin champions that are really strong right now because of the Season 3 patch, Ezreal definitely is the top dog again.
Yeah, I do. There are some things that were added to help mitigate some of that now inherent weakness. And this is actually something I know you've been doing quite a bit. Is actually running barrier on some ADs. And there are some other items here, like USS now gets built into some damage. But where have the big hits been?
Well, I mean, the ADs weren't really hit that much. One of the cool things with ADs that I really like that Riot did was they removed spell or life steal from the ADs. And we'll take a look at these guys, their runes, and see if they actually add life steal into their quints, because that's something that I know some people are considering. but because you can't get it from runes and masteries unless you go utility, you don't have any base lifesteals. That slows you down a little bit in your build. It means that you buy quick items, you lose out on movement speed. That was nerfed some as far as being able to buy movement speed. You lose out on crit damage a little bit. That's a little bit more expensive. So it takes a little bit longer to get into those deep builds on ADs like we used to see. But ADs, they're actually getting more damage now. So they have more damage now than they did in the past. Early on, but then it's harder to transition into those more utile builds. But we'll see where they're going. Ezreal and Lulu, definitely a strong combo. Anivia will be able to control that front line, but still they have to worry about Evelyn coming in behind. So we'll see how that control works in the mid lane. Definitely a strong pick though. And then on the other side, Corki and Sona. And I actually really like the Corki and Sona pickup because that's something we saw Wei Zhao play a lot of at IPL 5. Corki and Sona is a very dominant lane, and it actually works very well against Ezreal. In lane, at least, Corki bullies around Ezreal a little bit. So we'll see what Doublelift can do there. And it's interesting. I mean, he used to play Caitlyn and Vayne. Those were Doublelift's 2 champions. Ezreal as well. He played Ezreal some. But it was Caitlyn and Vayne. And now we're seeing that Corki pick up. And I have to wonder whether it's taking a little pick from Wei Zhao. And that TF pick would be insane if we saw it there. I thought Big Fat might pick TF, but that would mean that Evelyn isn't a mid lane Evelyn. It would be top or jungle, which would be very surprising.
I've been seeing a lot more jungle Evelyn, actually. Yeah. So I'm thinking that's more than likely where that pick's going to be going.
That's a really squishy team, though, so that would be very scary.
It is a squishy team, but there's a lot of burst that would be coming in. You have quite a bit of burst, a fair amount of AoE also, because remember that TF when it does get up close and personal, those wild cards, they do go off in arc.
Oh, it's locked in. And, no, turn. Wow, they're doing it. So it's Jungle Eve.
Jungle Eve, Shen top, TF mid. Interesting. And then we'll see what Nom Nom, former Quantic, will be doing in response. Thinking about the Udyr, thinking about the Jax. It's just, what do you do top lane against the Shen? That's something that's actually been going on for quite a few months, so we'll figure it out. But going back to Champs League, there's probably somebody they're missing.
I just think it's absolutely insane, like how many changes we're seeing with the game right now. It's a completely different game, which means that we're potentially going to see completely new viable strategies. Like it's not very cut and clear where it's like, oh, this champion's good now. It's not. Pantheon is insanely strong because of Black Cleaver, but it's not like the game right now is just, oh, Pantheon's good, this champion's bad. It's, the game is completely redefined. Everything is different about it. There's just so many changes, and I'm really excited to see. Evelyn used to originally be played in the jungle, like before she was mid. That was way before she had been reworked. She was a jungler. People tried kind of figuring out how they could fit her into a team because she was always kind of bad at everything. Her base stats early on were really bad, but even she worked out as a jungler a little bit.
Like even then, before her rework, though, she still had a ridiculously high win rate when in the few instances where she was played, because she was still a very efficient solo queue stomping champion, and champs with stealth like Evelyn, like Twitch, like Shaco, they do very well in solo queue because they do well against disorganized teams, which, let's face it, most teams that meet in solo queue often are.
Well, and she has that potential, but it's also interesting to see the creativity of a lot of these pro players. And I think a lot of times the pros will recognize what's the point kind of in them trying to break the game. Like they want to come up with unique things, but they don't necessarily have to be revolutionary with what they're trying to do, because the second anyone plays in solo queue anything different, or in any competitive play, anyone plays anything different, if it's good, then everyone is going to immediately copy it. So it's kind of like Pantheon. You don't want to put too much work into it. But Evelyn, Pantheon, Mundo. So it was a Mundo the whole time. All right, well, as much as we're talking about Evelyn there.
Then, never mind. Just disregard the past 2 minutes.
But it's funny because Evelyn used to be, when Evelyn was played in the jungle in the past, I think it's cool how people can come up with unique strategies, because there's a guy, Sirakabot, on the EU scene that started it, and he hit #1 in the EU ladder by playing Evelyn with Revive Smite, and you would suicide to the jungle minions, use Revive to be really strong, and then run around and kill people. But Evelyn not going to be in this game. Mundo definitely a really strong, champion there. What does he mean? We are Team Nom Nom. Of course you're Team Nom Nom. We got you.
Dude, I told you you're Team Nom Nom.
We have you set. You're solid.
We got the score.
They haven't seen the scoreboard
actually,
yet.
It's probably we probably got to check the change the Twitch title.
Oh, probably. So. But regardless, we'll see what's going on. Mundo definitely a really strong champion, and so Quantic knew it was Mundo the whole time, so they knew that was open. And then, like we said earlier on, Big Fat definitely known for that TF, and it wasn't banned. So TF, a very strong champion right now. Going to be exciting to see what kind of map presence they can provide.
Yeah, and TF was also a pretty heavy hitter at IPL 5 also across nearly every region.
Banned a lot though.
Banned quite a bit, but for good reason. And you know, most of those bans were up against we. You know, Messiah. I mean, of course, you know they made a video about him saying how TF is his favorite, and of course you're going to ban him out. But it wasn't just him. There are still plenty of other AP mids in the game that are fantastic.
It wasn't like it was a secret though. It wasn't like he made they made the video and everyone's like, oh TF, oh man, you know, now I've got it, I'll ban it.
But still though, I mean, there are sometimes you get into that mentality. It's like, well, I'm sure we can beat them at their own game, because I remember talking with Iceland actually, and they're like, yeah, our secret, you know, we wanted our secret strategy against CLG EU, let them have Anivia. Like, all right, okay.
Yep.
So because sometimes you want to try, or sometimes it's been a few months since you've played X teams. Like, I wonder if we can beat them now. It's been a while. You know, we haven't tested our might against their strongest champ in a while. So is there anything just to see, you know, a good little, you know, just a little notice of where they're at right now, and especially now heading into Season 3 qualifying spots. I mean, remember that Quantic, well, Nom Nom, the former Quantic, they don't have a secured spot in the Season 3 qualifiers just yet. So this could be a good test for them.
And I actually just wanted to check real quick. Runes and Masteries. Runes are standard. This is double lift here. But 21, 0, and 9, and going for the utility. I was curious what kind of champions we might see start to go for down that utility tree for that spam ability for some of those things. Still doesn't get Spell Vamp or anything like that. Wild Turtle, on the other hand, he has physical damage as well, Armor Pen, and then he actually has mana regen as well, but he went a little bit more down the defensive. Not a lot of armor, but he has a little bit more health. So surprised he kind of didn't get a little bit more armor, but Corki has a mix of true and, you know, magic damage.
Right.
Oh,
might as well
so that's kind of a little tough.
You know?
But it's interesting. I think Corki really benefits a lot from the mana regen in this matchup. And we'll go into that in a second. Just going to run through real quick, see what else. We have movement speed on TF, 21, 0, and 9. Kind of to be expected. Hot Shot, probably not doing anything that unusual. Movement speed on Shen, so it gives him a lot of mobility. 9, 21, 0.
See, can we take a look at the Jax real quick?
Yeah.
See what we got here. Runes, standard stuff for Jax, 9.21.0. Tanky Jax up there.
Yeah,
front line.
I thought that people would stay with defense and offense for the most part, but we'll kind of see how they venture a little bit later, because I think it's just people will wait until they see other people diversify some. 9.21 on Show.
Tanky Joe.
Anivia is going to be going mana regen, movement speed, 9, 0, and 21. So lots of utilities. That's definitely going to be nice for Anivia. But I think it's interesting on AD carries in particular. I feel like AD carries will start to experiment with the utility tree a lot. And Double is doing that here. We used to see before the changes, some people would go mana regen on like Ezreal some. But one of the nice benefits of the Corki Ezreal matchup, because Corki generally wins that matchup and it's just like a really strong lane, Ezreal should be pretty safe in the lane. But Ezreal, since the W nerf, he can't trade harass very effectively. Corki can just sit behind the minions, walk up behind the minions, you know, poke him and back off. And that means that he doesn't have to worry about armor. Usually with AD carries, you need to get the 9 in the defense so you can get armor and health, so you don't die quite so quickly. Ezreal went for the health because he knows he's going to be harassed some by like Frosters bombs and stuff like that, and Sona doesn't want to have to worry about that. But Corki, he can just sit behind the minions. Ezreal doesn't trade the damage very well. Corki gets some quick burst and then heals back up with Sona. And having that mana regen is going to be very strong for him in that lane and then as the game progresses. So he's going to be a little bit squishier, but if you look at ex-Quantic's Team Nom Nom, they don't really have the best team for taking advantage of Corki. Like, Corki's just going to be very safe. Jax could potentially stun into a Cho Rupture, and then they could burst him down. But as long as he avoids the Cho Rupture and the Jax stun, there's not much that they're going to be able to do to him.
Okay. But keep in mind, though, we are going up against Anivia and Lulu. They do have quite a few slows in their kit, and any team with a fair amount of slow really benefits having a Cho, just so he can have that follow-up. It's like, hey, if you get a slow, that's if you're there, if you're with the rest of the team, near guaranteed rupture, near guaranteed silence, and you should be able to fill out everything else.
But we'll see where they're going. I kind of like ex-Quantic's team. They're going kind of for a defensive start here, but ex-Quantic, the setup that they have, it's very similar to what we used to see from CLG in particular. It's almost an identical team. If instead of Ezreal it was Vayne, then this is like what Hotshot would have been running in the past with the Jax there. Coming over the side, Chalister will be able to back off, so he's going to be safe. But it's a very safe team early on in the game. Like it's tough for the global presence of CLG to really pressure them a lot. And then later on in team fights, it's just a very good team at controlling the front line. They have good frontline tanks in Cho. They can just, use Cho and Anivia to control the front line. Like it's difficult to force a fight on them because they can just retreat, wall off, or rupture or something. And then they look for that single target burst. And really, it's about protecting the AD carry. Like that is their entire team, is protect the AD carry in those team fights and control the front line. So they have a big advantage when team fights come around. But it's going to be interesting to see what CLG can do early on in the game to take advantage of ex-Quantic's lack of mobility.
One thing I think I'm going to have to get used to is seeing a support with all 6 item slots filled. I don't think I've ever seen
awesome.
that. I mean, it's good. I mean, Yoan's very well prepared at everything. You've got all the wards you need to get the Fairy Charm. You got a Biscuit. It's everything.
And I think a lot of people are kind of expecting that now. I mean, it's great. You get extra wards, you get more regen and everything. So the thing I think is a little bit more exciting is actually Lemonation, what he's doing with his stuff. So he went Doran's Shield, and then he still has a health pot. He still has a ward, and he still has the Biscuit. He doesn't have very many wards, and the ward he has is only a 60-second ward. So they have a serious lack of map presence early on. Right. He did have 1 ward, I think. Yeah, see, I think he had 1 ward that he dropped over there. Oh, that's the 60-second ward. So that's going to be done pretty quickly. But I actually kind of like running Cloth Armor on some supports now, particularly if you're going to take some damage. But wow, incredible harass versus Corki. And he's really safe as Lulu. Like, it's going to be difficult for Corki to eat through that shield.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, is that this can't really last forever, though, because you're going for a Doran Shield and all this stuff, because you have no Fairy Charm, you are going to be light on mana regen. And one of the big things, one of the big benefits of Lulu is you have that poke, you have that Gordo Lance. You can exert your dominance in lane with the zone tactics that Lulu has available, and that cannot last for very long without any extra damage. Chester getting caught out over in enemy territory.
Oh, he's turning back around.
Tien trying to position himself behind Heil 9, and will manage to get on out. We're going to eat a cleaver to the face of that floating out. Double lifting very low here in bot lane. Lemon Nation dueling with that win in the brush. But will be no kills there, but Double got very low. He should be concerned.
Yeah, really nice presence from Lemonation so far. He's been very aggressive, particularly forcing damage onto Double Lift. And they're actually abusing this. They're going in for the kill. There's the cleanse on Turtle. He's able to pick up the kill. First blood. He's very low himself. Nat, he could actually turn this around. He flashes, picks up the kill. So it is going to be a trade, but that's definitely in Wild Turtle's favor. So Double Lift going down. Wild Turtle gets the 1-0 and gets the first blood.
Well, in a lot of situations, it's okay if the support gets the kill, but in something like this, you've already given up first blood to the enemy AD. Your AD only got the assist, if anything. So, yes, right now, Wild Turtle will be, he should be spiraling out pretty well. And there you go, Vamp Scepter already. Remember, it's you can't buy it straight away. You have to get that longsword and itemize into that first. So, with that extra game, we'll be seeing the former Quantic, now Nom Nom, stay in bot lane for a little while longer.
Cho coming up top. Hotshot just going to dash out of there, so he's going to be safe. Hai going to try and see if he can pick him off, but will just back off there. But it was really nice play, in particular from Lemonation, because he recognizes that Corki and Sona, they win the slow harass battle easily. Corki can just like slowly wear down Ezreal, and the Sona harass and heals are just too much for them to deal with. But instead, he forces these quick skirmishes where the burst of Ezreal and Lulu is very strong, and Lulu in particular is a really dominant support, and he's able to just put a lot of pressure onto Double Lift and pull pressure away from Wild Turtle. And because it's early levels, it was the first 2 levels where they're fighting, that's when Ezreal and Lulu have an advantage. They can force those fights early on and bully them around before the heal is up very much, before the cooldowns are up for Corki in particular. And so he forced small early fights, and rather than playing defensively, Nyut and Double Lift, they tried to trade with him, and they lost as a result of it. And now Lulu coming down drops some good wards, but Mundo and TF might be coming down as well. Some quick damage onto Wild Turtle, but they have to watch out for that presence coming from the river.
More than half of Wild Turtle's health gone in just an instant. Power cord a little bit too strong, but Yelwin still sticking
he's baiting it.
Wants to bait Turtle in. does die in the process, but at the very least going to be getting double of the kill. You got Mundo up here chasing away Lemon Nation. He will be safe at his own tower, but that is a quick turnaround here in the bot lane. Now you see the support going down for an AD. That's definitely a worthy trade.
Well, that was a great play from Yut, because Mundo was coming in, and they wouldn't have probably been able to pick up Ezreal. Ezreal's such a safe pick. If he didn't force out that Arcane Shift and force Ezreal into a situation where he thinks he can get the kill for free, then he probably would have gotten out of there. But getting that trade, it gives another kill to Ezreal. They have to worry about that. I mean, 2 kills on Ezreal is definitely pretty brutal, but it gives Doublelift some free farm time and gives Doublelift a kill. So that's going to help them out a lot. So we'll see what they can do there. Corki, he did go Ruby Crystal. So in particular, they know that they should already win in the harass exchange. He just can't allow them to burst them down. Lemon Nation trying to chase down Doublelift a little bit. He could get that one last Glitter Lance, but just will back off for a second there. And so Doublelift going to go back and heal up, and he'll be able to come back in the lane. But it's going to be a concern because he's dealing with Vamp Scepter. So the Vamp Scepter early on, it's a little more expensive than it was in the past, but it's definitely a strong early choice. And that sustain in lane for Ezreal could turn the tide for them, particularly with the early 2 kills and how tanky he is with that Doran's.
And this is an interesting purchase here from Doublelift. You could have actually finished off the Phage, but instead goes for the Sheen first, which I think in this situation is the right choice because he recognizes that this fight's going to go for a little while. Hold on 1 second. We got Big Fat LP with the level 6 teleport up here top lane. Yuzuki leap strikes to a minion and a flash. Flashes in response, gets a slow, but nice rupture from high L9 right in the neighborhood, allows Yuzuki to get away. Nice positioning from high. He was just in the right neighborhood. Flash, leap strike, managed to still get out of there. That is a lot wasted on a failed gank. That
was impressive play from high L9, and that's really important for junglers. That's the #1 thing for any jungler, is to be in position to counter out those ganks. They know that Jackson is in kind of a tough situation. In particular, bot lane, Lulu could get caught out, so they have to watch out for Lulu, but Ezreal is going to be safe from those TF ganks. So he walks up there, he's in his top jungle, he's able to get there in time. I thought that they were going to be able to pick up Jax once the cleaver hit, but yeah. The rupture is just so easy for disengage, and that's one of the strengths of Cho'Gath as a jungler, and why a lot of people actually run mobility boots, so those move 5 boots on Cho'Gath. But bot lane, I mean, both of these guys, they're just dueling it out. Wild Turtle Elimination trying to exchange damage. With the regen from Sona, I would normally say they're at an advantage, but the Vamp Scepter for Wild Turtle could help out a little bit. But real quick burst, Wild Turtle is very low.
He's still knowledgeable, though. He knows that he has the sustain. He knows he has the Vamp Scepter and the Doran's. So at least a few auto attacks, and a little bit of time can keep him topped off, but he knows he can also back off, be a little safe. Before that TF fight up top lane, just talking a little bit about Doublelift Machine, and it's weird, like in sustained fights, and you have all this extra, you have the sustain coming in from Quantic. You also got the shield coming from Lulu to help absorb. Plus now the ultimate from Lulu, which tops off your health even more. I gotta think that CLG's a little bit worried about extended fights now heading into the later part of the early game, now heading into mid game.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be a concern, except that they don't really need to force fights against Quantic, because Quantic, they don't have a good team for controlling Dragon. I mean, they have a good team for controlling Dragon, but they don't have a good team for taking it very quickly, so it's going to be a slow Dragon. And Quantic doesn't have a team that can force team fights at all. They can't force turret objectives. They can't push on CLG. And so CLG, they recognize that they are at a disadvantage once team fights occur. But there's no pressure for a while, like for another 10 minutes, for those team fights to actually occur. CLG's in the driving seat right now. So it's really up to Quantic to just sit back, farm, not fall behind from CLG's global pressure, and then put themselves in a position to succeed a little bit later on.
So I might be seeing some of the old standard CLG business as usual hot shot split push action.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit later on. I mean, right now it's it's still laning phase. Shen, yeah, he's definitely going to split off and wants to use his the teleport to his advantage. But we'll see what we do later on. I think it's definitely a possibility. That split push in particular is like exactly what you get to counter Anivia usually. You go for that split, but TF's coming down as well. There's the taunt, some damage from Chalster, the stun. If they can get him this time, he will go down. So hot shot backing off. The ignite wasted on him.
Yep. So that was definitely a little bit better. The minion line wasn't coming on down, so Yuzuki had nowhere to lead to. His flash was also still down from the previous gank, so there's really no escape, and that is the big worry about any time you're facing up against a Twisted Fate. That teleport to the right spot can get you a pretty easy kill, but with everyone distracted though from CLG, this does leave the Dragon somewhat vulnerable. Win out in front, taking a whole bunch of damage, and Nivea ult making sure people do not leave. Hotshot coming on down, but he's brought down to about a third. You got the former Quantic, now Nom Nom, still here on the ramp, poking in and out.
But they stalled it, and they took a tower. Yeah. So CLG with a great play there, yet almost getting out of there, but just sacrificing himself for that tower. So it's one kill for a turret. That's to CLG's favor, and they're able to prevent that dragon. So definitely a big play from CLG.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Mundo also going back, picking up some wards for himself. He's going to be looking for the golem essence there, which is going to be great later on. It gives him some extra tenacity. Double lift. He's convinced that he can beat Turtle out in this duel. He may very well be right. One more auto attack, and that will be enough. Double lift taken out.
He can't beat Lulu though.
He's trying.
One more glitter lance. He has the Lulu. The picks.
For the cooldowns, and there's Sona with the heal and the body block to keep the glitter from reaching that mustache. Very well done by Win.
Yeah, Lulu just barely out of range. Would have been able to catch both of them there with that glitter lance, but just not quite able to grab him. And really nice play. Double lift just 2v1ing him there, so doesn't even need Yut with him. But there's the stun, the taunt, actually perfect timing from Shen, and that's actually one of the great things about the Shen versus Jax matchup is it's a big skill matchup, and a lot of times people kind of expect Jax to take over that lane as it progresses. Shen has an early advantage, like there's no doubt. Shen bullies around every melee in lane early on. But a lot of people expect that Jax to start to take control of that lane because Jax's damage is insane in lane. But if you play it right and you just perfectly time those taunts, Jax never really touches you. He can't hit you with the stun. And that was just really nice timing from Hotshot. And so he's very safe in that lane. He's going defensive items, but that's fine. I mean, that's exactly what he's going to want anyway. So going to be exciting to see how that lane continues. So far, he's doing, 20 CS ahead. And then with the ganks, it's been great for them.
And we saw earlier on in the game, Izuki, he was pretty afraid actually to go even near the minion line earlier on, and that was before the second TF gank attempt, the one that was successful.
Jax is coming down though.
There you go. We got Jax traveling on down, look up to join with the rest of the team, but again, top lane, it's all Hotshot. His teleport, his ultimate is down for the time being, but there's still plenty of damage on the rest of the team. As you're seeing here, double of taking out Wall Turtle. And the rest of Nom Nom, they decide to back off. Chowster tanking the dragon. Big Fat putting down all damage, and right now CLG, they've carved out plenty of time for themselves. They can take the slow trip here to kill off this dragon. They didn't even really need double from those, but no,
oh, they let it reset.
Oh, that's unfortunate, but they didn't allow it to reset for very long.
They had the ward. They wanted to steal the blue. They can't quite get it. High L9, he's able to pick up that blue, so really nice play from CLG. But the pullback, it barely denied them. Lemonation, he's going to get the flash over the wall. No one's going to follow him. So they're going to be able to get out of there. But it was kind of cool what CLG did because they forced the fight right onto Quantic, knowing that it was a 4v5. But Ezreal was split bottom, and so it was a long walk for Ezreal. And Wild Turtle, rather than walking around the safe route through his blue, which still wasn't the safest route because he would still be cut off coming down from the blue, he tried to walk up into the river, and Double Lift just chased him down and killed him. And the Phage procs along with the Sheen, he just has so much burst damage. So really impressive play from CLG, and they've pulled that into a 5K gold lead out of nowhere.
5K before the 20-minute mark, and you all remember statistic, the team with the gold lead on the 12-13 minute mark is usually in a pretty dominant position, and 5K before the surrender mark is pretty huge.
Ooh, High getting scared too.
Rightly so, though.
The pressure that they have right now, High is doing red, they have him warded. Hotshot starts running down towards the red, and Quantic just calls it off, and he has to just stop.
Well, they have, they have no vision. They have no vision.
And they have no pressure right now. CLG has all the pressure over the jungle. They have great ward coverage. One of them just dropping by the race, but they still have this ward here to protect Hotshot, and he's just pressuring Yuzuki up in this top lane and keeping him there. So, Hotshot, he's so safe, it's almost impossible to gank Shen. And this is something that we see from CLG all the time, is that Hotshot, he plays a really defensive lane, but he'll just sit up in lane, force a long laning phase, and it allows the rest of CLG to be extremely aggressive. Quantic, on the other hand, Jax is starting to get farmed. They need to get him in this game, and they need to prevent this from happening. They need to prevent Big Fat and Chalster just running around together and picking up kills.
Shen ult going down onto Big Fat. LB will be coming back on into this. There's Yuzuki. Gonna get taunted in, but there is the pop-up to keep Hotshot busy. Elimination on the tail end, but nice Anivia wall to block everyone off. Almost going down, both Yuzuki and Heil9, but managed to make it out. But meanwhile, in bot lane, double lift and not win. They're plugging away at the tower. It's already down to half.
Wow,
Wild Turtle
double lift just seeing the ward there and dodging. Both times he's dodging Wild Turtle. Wild Turtle thinks he has the blind shot, and double lift just dodging that.
And auto attacks will keep him away. We cannot dodge that missile straight up through the lane. He's already at a quarter health. And now to here top lane, the split push has begun already. The top tier 2 is now already down.
Nien's caught, and he does have his flash, so he's actually going to be able to take out Chalster a little bit. He walls himself off. He has to flash because TF was teleporting in there. Doublelift trying to go for this kill, and does actually use his flash, so Doublelift is in a really dangerous spot right now. But Wild Turtle solo is dropped by that devastating Corki. We'll see if he can actually get out of there.
He dodges out through the Rupture, just waiting for those cooldowns to come back up. He might be able to do something, but no, he will not be able to get Yen. And meanwhile, Yuzuki taking out Chester off on the side. Shutdown coming in. Also from the Cho'Gath, going to be getting the kill onto that Corki, going to get a little bit more gold for himself. And now it's just a matter, you got the speed buff now onto Yuzuki. Can he catch up with the Sun? The ward was into Tri-Brush, so they know which road to take, but there is the slow power chord, and he cannot pursue any further.
Yeah, so they will back off. That's one of the big difficulties that Quantic's going to have against CLG in this game, because Quantic, they have a defensive team. They're very strong about controlling the front line and of fights and protecting their AD carry in particular, but they don't have good initiation. I mean, it's all on Jax and Cho'Gath, and that's why Doublelift is safe in this game and is going to be safe going forward. But it means that Quantic, they can't allow themselves to fall too far behind, because when you don't have the ability to initiate, it means you don't have pick-off potential. So Quantic doesn't have that quick kill potential where they can just say, oh, we caught someone out of position, kill them. And that's one of the most effective comeback mechanics in this game, and they just don't have it. So Quantic needs to hold off. They need to be able to just farm effectively and not deny CLG some of these kills. I mean, they brought it even in kill score, but they're still way behind in turrets. So just a couple more kills, play defensively, and then as the game progresses, if they can start to force team fights, they will be at an advantage. But then you're right, later on you had mentioned they're going to have to deal with that split push, and that's the best thing you can do against Anivia, because Anivia can shut down a single lane all day long. Like, you cannot push against an Anivia. But that just means that CLG can just push 3 lanes at once. And
this is CLG NA we're talking about here. They know how to play the slow game. They're one of the experts. They're one of the originals. And again, the split push game is something they're very familiar with too. Hotshot getting caught out by 3 members of the former Quantic. Chester wants to join, but going to be finding a bird and a monster. Hotshot should be able to make out there. May not be able to stay the same for Chester.
They're just toying with them right now.
Up, but will there be a stun? Something? No, it does actually get the tail end of it. But again, bot lane, everyone's all so distracted there in the top. Doublelift has free reign, takes out the bot tier 2. Can Nien get out of here? Here comes the TF with the gold card, but does get stun for stun between the APs, and one last tower shot will help finish the job onto the Mundo.
Yeah, so they get another kill into Chalster, but they lose another turret, and they're just constantly being pressured into their base from CLG, and that's the thing. They don't have that quick pick-off potential against these members of CLG. So CLG, Chalster in particular, is being extremely aggressive. Ezreal almost trying to grab that, but Double is able to hold on to it. CLG's being extremely aggressive and just pulling Quantic all over the place, and Quantic's just chasing them. So Quantic almost needs to stop that, I mean, and just sit back in lane and farm, not allow CLG to take these turrets, but you know, CLG's forcing these situations where they're getting free turrets, and Hotshot's still pushing up top, and they're still struggling to get him.
6K advantage now here for CLG, trying to leap. I think that was Nien actually helping out Hotshot there for a second. I think that wall, did that wall?
No, the wall was first, and then Hotshot flashed over the wall. So great, you know, play from Hotshot, and that's the thing. They don't have that pickoff potential. Yes, the flash is down, but you know, it's rough. You know, Quantic right now, they can't pick up the kills that they need to get back into this, and it's just allowing CLG to continue with their gold lead. So just really impressive play all around. Hotshot being forced out of that top lane, but he's just been sitting up there the entire time. He just jumps back in trying to take it. Hai's actually able to grab the big golem, but still, you see, he's not afraid of them at all. Like, none of CLG, Chalster in particular, are afraid, because they have complete control of this map so far.
Well, this is standard stuff we've been seeing from CLG for months now. This is what they do. This is what they do best, and it really shows. This is what happens when you allow a team like CLG, like one of the champs they're best with, in this case Shen, on hotshot, because you know he's just going to be split pushing all day. He has the ultimate. He can join in with the rest of his team, and then they have the double global on the TF, on the big fat. That's just, I highly doubt when this comes to game number 2, no matter the result, that the former Quantic will be allowing CLG to have both Shen and TF.
Yeah, that's really, those are some brutal pickups for CLG. Those are 2 of their strongest champions. So we'll see what kind of happens. Chalster running back. He's just going to try and steal this red. He pulls it, and we'll try and take this from him. The Rupture misses, and Quantic, they can't even try and deny this because they don't have the means to pick up the kill, and then they might just be, ace themselves. And one ace from CLG's side shuts this game down completely, like just ends it. So Quantic just has to play defensively right now and allow CLG these advantages, and try and come back. Double Lift able to grab that red, so he's very strong right now, and that's really scary. 40 CS ahead of Ezreal, and then with the kills that he has. Ezreal, on the other hand, going with the Infinity Edge build, which is very strong in team fights. It gives them really high sustain damage, and again will be very strong as the game progresses. But the key is if they can keep it close enough that it even matters.
Yeah, I don't think CLG even really needs to ace the team, and even if they do get a full-out team fight, if they can take out Chone and Nivea, that's really all they need. But because of the situation they're in, because of the map control that they've eked out for themselves.
Oh, Ezreal gets it, gets the double kill with the Baron help. Shen's actually has to come in to try and steal this, but they're going to try and defend this here. Quantic's coming down to fight this.
That was a bit of a misstep from CLG, unfortunately, and CLG got a little bit too crazy. They thought they could just 3-man it, but hey, one errant Ezreal managed to swing it back into former Quantic's favor. Double Lift now on the side, Big Fat being chased. The speed buff coming in from Wild Turtle. Can he get anything? He does not have the Trinity. He will not have that Phage Proc, but pure damage will be enough. Gold card underneath turret. Is it there? Is the damage? Yes. 1-for-1 trade over deep into the mid turrets. Flash away.
The flash over the Flash Frost.
Will be enough. Double Lift being popped up by the Rupture, and yes, former Quantic.
Wow, that is huge, because now it's only a 4K advantage for CLG. Quantic, that's exactly what they needed. They needed to be able to force a fight, pick up some kills. CLG, it seemed like it was a safe Baron on their end. Chalster's still trying to run them down. He wants to slow them down. The Sona ult as well, trying to see if they can grab Lulu here. Just pick up someone from this Baron or prevent them from coming back so that TF or someone can maybe come back into this fight. And so Chalster not even allowing them to leave. But honestly, Ezreal didn't have a chance of stealing the Baron. It was too high, and I didn't think they were going to go down, but that's one of the cool things about getting that Infinity Edge now, particularly with the changes to it. Infinity Edge first, Ezreal, compared with Triforce, you have significantly more AD damage. So 190 AD damage right now, compared with if he went for a Triforce build, he'd be looking at like 170. So it's not a lot, 20, but that adds up on your ultimate. And the Ezreal ultimate, for it to be able to take out both of them with the help of the Baron, was just devastating for CLG right now, because it brings Quantic an opening. It gives them an opportunity to get back into this game, and they're definitely going to look for whatever they can do. And
this is why you see a lot of teams shy away from these early Barons, so in the neighborhood of about the 20. But
usually the threat isn't that Ezreal is going to get a double kill at Baron; it's that the team is going to collapse on you. And they knew the team that Quantic was nowhere near them. They knew they were safe from Quantic forcing a fight. But yeah.
But here's the thing: if the entire team, if all of CLG was there in the pit with them at that moment, it would have gone down a lot quicker. It would have gone down a lot easier. But the point still is that when you have a team going for a Baron that early, you're still going to get low. You're still going to get very dangerously low. It's just, fortunate that ex-Quantic has an Ezreal.
We'll see where they can go from here. I mean, that is a massive comeback. The Baron is going to help stall Quantic and allow them to continue to farm. You see Yuzuki trying to get some damage on the Hotshot. He's able to wear him down a little bit and force Hotshot out of the lane, and that's really key. They need to be able to win that lane matchup against Shen. Once Shen can win the 1v1 in that lane, it means they can split push forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. The quick burst, though, trying to grab Chalster. He gets the flash right before that silence hits. But that is massive. Jack's still chasing down Hotshot, and with that slow, he's actually pretty close to grabbing him.
He misses! And auto attacks a minion.
And then jumps onto a minion. He just W'd a minion and then leaped onto a minion. He
double whammy.
He maybe could have picked up that kill.
He could have, but he's still forcing Hotshot back. He's still opening up a lot of opportunity here in mid. So tier 2 in mid is going to be going down for Nom Nom, and they could actually continue to push on this.
This is ideal for Nom Nom right now, ex-Quantic, because they knew if they can force fights, then they're at an advantage. There's the wall up, missing the Flash Frost. Big Fat's still in a bad situation here. Ezreal is there, Corki is not, so this should be at their advantage, but TF does go down, and they're actually able to force Ezreal out of that fight, and that is absolutely huge for them. Hotshot, it seems, is going to go down, but the quick flash, and that's the turnaround that CLG wanted in this situation, because Quantic should be able to win these fights now, and CLG knows it, so they send Corki up top, but he's going to go down to Yuzuki. If Yuzuki picks this up, that would be huge. Hotshot trying to grab it. The minions. Not going to be enough, but he does have to go back, and that's going to be an inhibitor for Quantic. This game is completely turned around instantly, and that's the team fighting presence or pressure late game that Quantic has had all game, just if they could break through that pressure that CLG had.
And you saw also in that last skirmish how well all these champs together in unison can chain that CC, can keep one character under wraps. Yet the Anivia stun, well, good. Now we'll follow that up with the Rupture, with the Lulu pop-up on the ultimate. Huge. Absolutely huge. Big Fat had nowhere to go.
And now while Shen's going up top, he can't teleport onto one of them. I mean, he could use the shield. Sorry, it is down, so he's not going to be able to do that. CLG is able to force them back. Quantic, they will get out of there. That Baron, it actually does just end. So, you know, now they have to just sit back on their team fighting potential. But getting that inhibitor, it means they can force a fight in one of the lanes. CLG can't split push against them as effectively anymore because now Quantic can just pressure their base. And we'll see what Quantic does with it.
Lemon Nation looking for a little something, finding now Chester entering the bot river. Wants to force out a situation where ex-Quantic can still secure their own buffs, though. And the fact that CLG was still up in their business, it still presents a bit of a problem. Granted, yeah, the gold lead is not as huge as it used to be. It's still 2K after his Dragon, only going to be a mere 1K, but still, there's a lot of positional advantage that they still need to recoup. They still need to ward up. They still need to get the vision where they need it.
Oh, very close. That wall almost pinched him off there, but the flash from the end, he's trying to go for it. The flash from Big Fat to get out of there. Jax isn't going to be able to get the follow-up, but that would have been devastating to lose Big Fat in that situation. He's able to get out, and Quantic, now they can start pressuring the spot lane, but they have to worry about that Shen top because he's just going to keep one of them split and open up situations for CLG to come back into this, and Quantic just decides not to pressure the base. They're just all going to go back. So we'll see what goes on there, but that opens up a nice time for us to chat a little bit about some of these new items.
Oh yeah, let's take a look. Well, first off, before we even get to the new items, I want to talk about the old items. Take a look at Hotshot at that fancy new Sunfire Cape effect. He's still the same item, but if you take a look at Shen, it's got a fancy new flame around it.
Oh, okay. I was like, what is the... It's the same exact effect. Yes, he does have the flames.
He's got those
I was like, what are you talking about? It's the exact same item.
It is. Except now he's got the fire.
He does have the fire. Very cool. But we'll see. It's interesting to see what some of these builds are. I love the Jax Blade of the Rune King. Yeah, like I think that's the strongest item on him right now.
It's a good substitute and/or replacement for the Gunblade, and you get still a lot of the same stuff. And the big reason why you got it in the first place, you get that active. Wonderful. It's just even better. TF ult coming here. He got the eye up. Hotshot trying to ult away, but alas, he cannot. The interrupt from the blue ult will keep him in place. High being caught in the South River. Yellow guard from Twisted. They keep him still. The Consume just trying to stay alive for a little while longer for the rest of the team. The shutdown will come in from Doublelift. Nien looking for a stun. Something. Can he grab it? No.
Wow, great play from Doublelift there. Not just picking up the kill, like that was his team's doing, but then as they're running, knowing that they don't have a means of engaging on him, the only thing would be a Flash Frost from Nien. He pokes them down, so just constantly dealing damage on the way out. You know, it wears them down. It opens up an opportunity for maybe them CLG to turn around and pick up a kill there. But Quantic, they're pushing back. It's a 2K gold lead now. Quantic has just been slowly bullying their way back into this game. So going back through the items, I mean, Quantic, they're getting really deep in their builds, and now the Baron's up. And Jax was already really strong at taking the Baron early on in the game, but with the Blade of the Rune King dealing, you know, extra damage and the lifesteal and everything, it's just easy for him now. So they're going to grab that really quickly, and nice. CLG has to be scared now because one of the cool things with this item is that Jax, he has MR and armor from his ultimate, but he doesn't have a lot of health. His base health is really low early on in the game, but it gives him damage, it gives him lifesteal to keep himself high between fights, and then it gives him a shield also. So the shield in particular really helps a lot. Runic Bulwark, we've heard like just how insanely strong that item has been, and so both teams grabbing it, and it's really, a lot of it is the MR. So it's that aura, but it gives 30 magic resist.
That's absurd.
Which is a pretty hefty amount. So that's really significant and helps teams out a lot later on in the game. And then Locket of the Iron Solari 2 on the team of Quantic. So that's a really strong item as well that everyone's kind of liking, because it gives you everything you need. Health, cooldown reduction, armor, but the shield as well. So having a double shield, it means that CLG can't pick off members very easily, and Quantic can just kind of bully their way through fights. So it makes them that much stronger in fights when they're already winning.
I still found it a little bit strange though with the Iron Solari, because that was actually Hyle9's first completed item. He actually finished that before he did the Aegis, which is something that I don't think I've ever actually seen, even on a jungler. I don't think like myself as a jungler has ever built Iron Solari, but this is what's happening now in Season 3. You have all these new options now springing on up.
There are a lot of options. Shen's actually trying to force this. Jax isn't there. This is a great opportunity for CLG. Hotshot, he gets the taunt back onto Nien, but the Lulu ult will turn it around, and the key is protecting double lift, but Nien is completely split from the team, so it's a 5v3 right now. Hai is going to drop very quickly. The Shen taunt takes him down. The Iron Solari isn't going to help them, and Jax is now with them, so it's a 5v4 once again, but Quantic, they're on the run, and CLG saved their inhibitor and can force back on them.
Yep, double lift was kept busy there in the back line, dealing with things like ruptures and the like, dodging those flat frosts, but it was, alas, not enough. Does come back in through and melts out Hyle9, and now with this, all of CLG now here up in the mid. They can get their push on if they want, but you have to keep in mind still, this is not enough. They have the Baron buff still for at least another 2 minutes. The push is going to be a little bit more difficult than usual, not impossible. This is what CLG likes to do. They like to pressure their lanes, like to get their advantages and slow roll it. And already, you see Hotshot now returning back up to the top lane. He has his ultimate. He can rejoin the fight whenever he needs to.
Well, they know they can't push in on Anivia, so they grab the blue, which will hurt Anivia a little bit, and then they get out of there. Yuzuki, though, he's trying to grab Nguyen. He's going to get in range. Nice. The flash from Nguyen right as they get in there. So he's able to get out of there, but Yuzuki, he's trying to cut off the rest of the team, so it's going to be tough to see how CLG escapes from this.
This is a bit of a risky play that they're way deep into enemy territory, throwing down wards as they go.
Oh, they're rushing the inhibitor.
They are. Oh.
CLG's not in range to get this, so Quantic's going to be able to drop this very quickly.
We take out the inhib, get the hell out. This is a major sneak tactic coming in from the former Quantic. They've gotten what they wanted. Now they're getting out because they still recognize, though, Hotshot, he's still there in the top lane. He's still going to be getting his push on. Is how healthy is the top tier 3, actually? Not very.
Yeah, it's almost done. He almost took it the last time. And that Baron's almost done as well. So Anivia and Jax both going up top, and CLG's just bull rushing this mid lane to take pressure off of Hotshot. So they want to, even though Quantic's been able to force their way back, CLG knows that Quantic can't force a team fight on them without landing a rupture or a wall. Chalster getting zoned off there, forced to flash, but Wild Turtle dropping so quickly. The Lulu almost not enough to save him. He just barely gets out of there.
He's still on the back, but here comes the TF ult. May be enough to actually sneak on behind Hotshot, looking for the dash. Wanted to get the phone out of Ezreal, but alas, is not getting it. Yuzuki getting very low out in front. Jax trying to make a difference, but that is a Corki going down here for CLG, so that's the AD carry gone. And you still have Turtle. He's still alive. The lifesteal is actually brought him back up to about a third, and all Quantic zooms on in, corners the Mundo. Leaf Strike will get a double kill for the Lulu, actually.
This could be GG. Quantic, they're going to be moving in, trying to take this Nexus down. It's going to be really tough for CLG to defend against this. And Ezreal, that's the great thing about Ezreal right now, and why he's arguably the strongest AD carry of this patch, is the fact that he's just so safe. And he's been safe for a really long time, but that's particularly significant when bruisers and assassins have gotten such a huge benefit here. And so Wild Turtle went down to like 100 HP, but was okay in the backline. They were able to protect for him, and that's the strength of Quantic's team. The taunt from Hotshot trying to pull him back in, not quite able to hit. One Nexus turret's going to go down, but they're not going to be able to end it. And so Hotshot, he's actually going to try and force this because the rest of his team is up, and if he can catch someone or slow down Quantic just enough, this could turn into an advantage for CLG.
Yep, all of them actually relatively low, and you have a Ninja in pursuit. One taunt could mean disaster. Elimination peeks out. He stays behind a little bit too far. Hotshot still has vision on all remaining members of Quantic. Big Fat, his teleport, his ultimate.
He's not letting them recall, and that's the important thing.
He's just waiting a few more seconds for Big Fat to stay up behind the end. We'll actually go down. You got the nice taunt over the wall. The Ignite still ticking, but I think the time has been killed. Things going down up here into the top side rush. There's Chester going around. Wolf spot Yuzuki, and there is Nien. Egged in passing. Double got that nice missile over to the side, but Nien should go down very quickly after coming back. Double kill before the Corky. And now Mundo and TF, can they catch up? Nice cleaver onto the Jax. Can you clear distance for Yokard? No, but the ultimate is up for Big Fat. He could go beyond enemy territory to pick up that kill, but he chooses not to. Chester taking out the top tier 3. It was already brought low from Hotshot earlier in the game, and that's used to a few extra cards to take that baby down.
Well, they're going to get an inhibitor off of this, so CLG making a comeback in this game. They started off, they almost threw it, and Quantic has done an incredible job of pulling this game back to even. But then CLG, Quantic trying to force down the Nexus, and they were not given an opportunity to recall, and that was really important from Hotshot to deny them that. So by being able to deny him that and almost going down himself, it allowed CLG to get that turnaround. And now with that inhibitor down, it opens up the split push potential once again, and it brings them at least to even playing field with Quantic. So Quantic can't just bully down their base with that mid inhibitor open. And we'll see, you know, how this is going to turn, but it's really, the game's evened out, and now CLG's split pushing potential and global presence is back on full force.
Yep. And when you're talking about the split push too, you got itemized correctly. And Hotshot actually getting one of the newer items also, the Zephyr. That's a lot of extra attack speed.
Yeah, it's a great item.
It's like that in combination with the Sunfire Cape. That's got to be like the brand new pushing thing here.
Well, it's an item that really could be strong on a number of champions once people start to work with it, because it's the highest movement speed item in the game. It's 10% movement speed. Quantic trying to force this Baron, though. They're going to force them back. They want to force a fight with CLG and then try and grab someone with the Anivia wall in particular. But the Solari Locket actually being baited out, so it helps prevent them from some of that damage, but they can't force this fast enough. And Shen's going to be pushing down bot.
There is still one more Locket, though, so it's still a little bit of a minimal shield, but yes, you are right. Hotshot down bot with the ultimate up and ready to go. Can be here in this fight whenever he needs to be. For the meantime, though, Nom Nom just playing chicken here. He's like, yeah, we're totally going for Baron. Why don't you come on up and seemingly pushing back CLG all further down the map. He's like, we can still play this game of tug of war. It just happens to go from river to river.
And now Jack's actually going to split against Shen. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins that. And I think a lot of the reason why Jax can win that now has to do with the Blade of the Rune King. So it's the percent damage based on health, because a lot of times Shen would actually win this matchup 1v1 a little bit later because he's just too tanky. Like, you can't deal enough damage to Shen. He just shields and gets out of there. But having that percent damage allows Yuzuki to just chase him down. Hotshot, he's actually going to turn into him. He's just going to fight him here. And who's going to win? It's going to be very close, but Yuzuki's taking the upper hand. And now CLG, Yuzuki's actually in a bad spot. He could be baited into this. TF's coming down, or he's actually just going to fight mid potentially. But Shen's still getting chased out, and no one's coming down from CLG to help him.
There's still a little bit of time. The TF now gone. Where to go? Top lane, actually. Everyone is so distracted with bot. Big Fat is now their top lane to help the minion wave push on in. He can get a Nexus turret off of this, or at the very least a
the minions alone are going to get that Nexus turret, and then he can get back out of there. Yuzuki was pulled down bottom. He's going to try and get out. Wild Turtle, he's going to be able to get it. The Mystic shot just enough, so Big Fat is going to go down. Some quick damage, though, trying to pick up the kill on Wild Turtle. The cleanse does get him out of there, but they lose the Nexus turret. And so having such a massive minion wave, it easily grabs that Nexus turret. And that puts CLG in a position where one fight that they win ends the game. Same thing with Quantic, though. The next one team fight for either of these teams that results in like an ace will win the game. But for CLG, at least, it also opens up the possibility of TF backdooring, you know, and taking down a second Nexus turret and then ending the game that way. So Quantic has to be on their toes now. Which is
going to be kind of weird. Like, you know, Wild Turtle, we've seen him just embrace stuff with TF back when he played mid. Like, oh man, I can't believe I got backdoored by one of my favorite champs. The thing I'm known for. It's got to hurt a little bit.
Now, Quantic's actually going down mid. They're going to be able to take this Nexus, and CLG, they're going to be able to get back in time. But the question is, will Quantic force a fight at the Nexus and just try and end this game? They don't have minions yet, so they're going to have to wait for that minion wave to come in. But they get the inhibitor easily, and they just back off. So they're not actually going to force it. They're going to go back in their base. They recognize there's a big wave, both top and bottom, that they're going to have to contend with. And also, the Baron is open. So they could potentially force a Baron fight, but then CLG's just going to stall and allow their minions to push and end the game.
TF ult up, big fat waiting for his opportunity, just wanted to get the vision, sees all the former Quantic here. Nice flash caught from Hotshot up on the tri-ramp. Yuzuki diving straight in for the backline, wants to kill Doublelift, but he will Valkyrie away and go down in the process. You do have the immediate ult still up, getting the slow on the Hell Knight caught behind the wall. You got Win actually getting credit for that one.
This might be GG. CLG protected Doublelift in that fight. They're able to pick up the kills. Jax wasn't able to take down Doublelift, and once Corki was able to survive, that is it. They're pushing in the Nexus. There's one more turret there. They're going to be able to skip past that mid turret as they're trying to take down Wild Turtle. Chauster gets the cleaver on the elimination, and Doublelift coming in. The taunt, it hits on Wild Turtle. They pick up the kill, and CLG is going to win game number 1. That Nexus will fall over very quickly, and we'll see where they go. The inhibitor respawns, so slows them down a little bit, but CLG...
I don't think so, gonna be fine.
That's really impressive late game strategy from CLG in particular. Quantic, they had a really strong teamfight team, and they almost came back. Like, CLG almost threw, and Quantic did a really good job of forcing that throw from CLG. But then CLG using those late game split pushing tactics against a team that is superior to them in team fights, and they're just slowly able to wear them down and get them out of position to where they win the exchange. The flash taunt onto Ezreal, it forces Ezreal into a defensive position, and then Corki just had enough damage to mow through the team.
But, you know, we said it during the game too, and we're going to say it again here. I highly doubt that Quantic, now former Quantic, now Nom Nom, will be allowing CLG to have those double globals once again, because that just, it hurt.
Oh, it's insane.
Way too much. It's one of the big things that allows
two of their best
CLG
champions
to come back from their almost throw.
And that's why when we first saw the Evelyn pick, I was like, oh, I'm a little surprised that Big Fat would take that Evelyn, because TF was open, and it was like one of CLG's strongest champions. But yeah, they're able to get both the Shen and the TF, the Mundo as well. Chauster putting on a lot of pressure with that Mundo play, and really that was the thing. Quantic, they had a team designed for team fights, but they couldn't ever force fights against CLG. So they honestly, the entire game was like a little rat race for them. It was a wild goose chase where they're just running around chasing CLG the entire game, and they could never force a fight against them.
Just hoping that you got the Flash Frost, or you got or you got the Rupture, just something lucky on a wing and a prayer, and just it never came. And unfortunately never came. But what will be happening here in just a little bit, that we will be going to game number 2. And also remember that the winner of this set goes on to play Curse NA. Remember, this is a 4-team Royale. Winner takes all $500. And I think we may very well actually see the conclusion of this tonight. We just might have a 4-man tournament all done within a day.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty quick. We might just go through these right after this game, play the winner of this versus Curse. But we'll see what's going on. We'll be right back shortly, guys. We're going to do a quick commercial break, and we'll be coming right back in this game. Game number 2, CLG versus ex-Quantic. Now Team Nom Nom, IPL NA Royale.